President posted an AI image this weekend raising eyebrows. You see it here, and it speaks about a planned deployment of the National Guard in Chicago. It reads, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," and Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Mr. Trump appeared to walk that back this weekend, telling reporters we're not going to war. Border Czar Tom Homan defended the use of the National Guard on CNN. Listen.
Look, National Guard are always on the table. We use them in Los Angeles, and we use them in Washington, D.C. They're a force multiplier. Now, do they arrest illegal aliens? No. ICE officers, Border Patrol agents who have Title VIII authority arrest illegal criminal aliens. But the National Guard does provide protection for us.
And take a look at this new CBS News polling. It shows a majority of Americans are against deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C. and other cities. And surprisingly, you see big swings in each direction when you break down the results by party. 93% of Democrats oppose sending the Guard to other cities, and 85% of Republicans support it. Senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joins us now from the White House to speak about this. Ed, good morning to you. That image that was posted had Chipocalypse Now. I guess that's a play off Apocalypse Now. That was a movie about the Vietnam War. The imagery is quite stirring. But the president then walked back some of the remarks about the National Guard heading to Chicago. So where does it all stand this morning?
It stands at we're waiting for some kind of a decision. We know this much. There is an operation called Patriot 2.0 underway up in Boston, which is another of the cities that the administration had been targeting for stepped-up immigration enforcement. They did some earlier this year. They're doing it again. The idea is to get at undocumented immigrants who are here with criminal records and get them off the streets. As for Chicago, lawmakers there have been to this military base that had been reportedly prepared for staging, and what they have found is essentially plans for just space to be given to ICE and other agencies potentially as they stage whatever it is that is expected to unfold in Chicago in the coming days. You saw Tom Homan there on CNN and in other settings. Other administration officials don't rule out asking for National Guard again, but the reason they would ask for him is if they see L.A.-style reaction. Remember what happened there earlier this summer when protests were in the streets, when people were throwing things at law enforcement. It was only then that they asked for the National Guard support. It's likely that would be the case in Chicago. And remember, there was a court case issued last week that suggested the way the president deployed the National Guard in Los Angeles was unconstitutional. So we'll see how they adapt in Chicago. The other city he's mentioned is Portland, Oregon. Seattle has been one that's been mentioned by other officials, but on Friday he went on a bit of a rant about Portland, Oregon, saying that based on what he has seen in news reports, at least, you may have to focus again on that city as well.
And Ed, also new from the weekend, the president made some comments about his health secretary, RFK Jr., yesterday. He, of course, is under massive pressure about the collapse in leadership at the CDC. What did the president have to say?
There is bipartisan criticism of Secretary Kennedy coming from a handful of Republicans, some of whom happen to be physicians as well. In this case, the president asked again about his support for Secretary Kennedy, and he said in part, well, he's a different kind of guy. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's got a lot of ideas. You know, normally they don't have any ideas, and that's why we have a problem with autism and some of the other things, because we're coming up with the answers for autism. We're expecting the HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services, to issue some reports in the coming days about what they believe the current leadership, important to point that out, the current leadership thinks about the origins of autism. There's some meetings scheduled soon at the CDC regarding the future of vaccines, and this is the real policy stuff that Kennedy was seeking to do. The president understands the secretary is popular with his base, has a lot of support there, a lot of concerns that his base have about health and societal issues are rooted in what Kennedy talks about. So the president really understands he's got to keep him around, but also is hearing the skepticism and the concern that others have. So that response yesterday about the secretary wasn't a full-throated defense. It seemed more like an explanation. And it seems the White House is monitoring now for the potential political follows, because all these changes with vaccine recommendations and other things as the fall begins and the diseases pick up, the seasonal ones, they're going to be watching for whether that has any adverse effect on Republicans, especially ahead of the midterms next year.
Yeah, there'll be a heightened focus on all of that in the months ahead. Ed, thanks so much. Great to see you.
Take care.